Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Vision One Media Artist Shoutout. My name is Ella Beth, and as always, I'm your host. I'm really excited to interview our artist today. They're a guest that I found through Atlanta Music Junkies Instagram page. Shout out Gina, we love you. Thank you for what you do. And he is an incredible musician a multi-instrumentalist, songwriter, has played with some awesome names, has some big names to play with this year in 2023 coming up, has just recently released some music. I'm sure there's more to come, but we're going to hear more about that. So without further ado, welcome Tyler NEAL.
Hello.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, cool. I was like, is it NEAL? We were just talking about where to put the emphasis in the syllables. Make sure it's right.
It all works.
It all works. So tell us a little bit about you. Tell me about Tyler NEAL music as it is right now.
As it is right now?
What does it sound like?
What does it sound like? It sounds like whatever I feel like that day.
Okay.
I'm on like I try to play on a day-to-day basis.
Awesome.
Well, I really do. I just kind of live it.
Yeah.
And I usually wake up and will warm up my voice.
Yeah.
First thing.
Good.
And then
good.
Play drums. Mm-hmm. That kind of wakes me up.
Loud noises.
Gets the blood flowing. Yeah. Then I'll play a couple songs. Mm-hmm. And maybe practice a couple songs that are mine that I gotta play.
Yeah.
Think about what gigs are coming up and then the coming days, whatever day that is.
Yeah.
And yeah. But
the day of an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So how would you describe your sound of your music?
My sound, maybe, in terms of genre.
Yeah.
Well, it's the.
You can say genreless,
Yeah, no, it's kind of like. I mean, I play a lot of blues type stuff. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of influence from blues stuff. Mm-hmm. And a lot of influence from gospel stuff, and it's hard. So I guess my favorite artists are like Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder,
nice,
and the Allman Brothers, and
I did see you singing a little bit of Stevie Wonder on an Instagram clip, and I was like, "Come on!"
Oh, which one?
I believe it was a bar in New York, and there's a clip of you singing some Stevie Wonder.
Oh, is it?
I can't remember what the song was, but I know your voice sounded really dope. I was like, cool.
Oh, thank you.
I'm a big Stevie Wonder fan, so I appreciate that.
Everyone is, whether they know it or not.
Yeah. That's true. I've never heard Stevie Wonder be divide anyone the way, say, the Beatles can sometimes divide people.
What is it with that?
I don't know. I'm sure there's lots of other bands, but yeah, Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder, those just tend to be universal.
The Beatles are great too. It took me a minute though. I sort of understand. Yeah. I understand. I'm not. If you were to tell me you can't stand the Beatles, I wouldn't be mad at you.
Right. I'm not a diehard fan either. I'm like, you know what? There are some tunes in there, and I respect the hustle. I respect that they changed the face of music.
Oh yeah.
And the way that they evolved throughout their bandship. Mm-hmm. That's really cool. I definitely respect all of that. But I guess that's kind of like Bob Dylan's music too. I don't particularly love listening to him sing, but when you focus only on the lyrics, it's like, well, damn, respect the hustle. So
it's like who he was and what he had to say.
Yeah.
More so than I almost want to laugh while I say this, but how good it sounded when you listen to the music, which I don't know. To me, that's supposed to be the most important part.
Yeah, the actual listening experience. The listening experience. That is what we do.
if we were there at that time in that place, Bob Dylan would have made more sense.
True. Yeah. True.
Because now he's Bob Dylan, and that's why we have this idea about him because he has set the precedent. Right. In a world without a Bob Dylan, when a Bob Dylan comes along,
you better sit and listen.
He changed the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's really interesting. I'm sure people say the same thing, like divisiveness about, and this is in a totally different ballgame, because then you have to separate the music from the person for a different reason. But like Kanye's music, for example, like if you think about Kanye as the artist and the person that, or Ye, as they prefer to be called now, you think about who they are as a person and artist, like yeah, no, I'm not a fan. But I mean, early Ye stuff, like before he was Ye, the Kanye days.
I was talking about this with my girlfriend last night, actually. You know, it's like I've listened to some podcasts and some videos of him, like, long-winded talking. He's actually an extremely intelligent, well-spoken person.
Yes.
And the thing is the mainstream world, there's not space for those types of ideas in the mainstream world. Right. So they automatically get turned into something crazy. And, you know, he has made some stupid things. He has said some stupid things.
Right.
I have also. I just wasn't in the world's eye at the time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And and on that note, like, I wonder for people who are at, you know, the level that you would say musicians of our caliber and like our fame level are, I always wonder for people when they come up, what will people try to pull them down with from what they might have said or done when they were, you know, like, and that's weird, isn't it? Isn't that weird?
It's easy to throw stones.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's real easy. It's real easy to be a critic.
Yeah.
That's why I'm sure you've heard this. You never see a statue of a critic.
I've never heard that, but I love that. I'm going to take that with me. I love that.
No one ever built a statue of a critic.
Right.
It's real easy to be a critic.
Absolutely.
It's really hard to stand up and say what you believe, because it makes you open for criticism.
Right.
It's really hard to say something. It's really hard to be yourself. Yeah. Because you're probably going to get criticized for it. It might not be popular.
Yeah. And that's really interesting to speak about with you, because I feel like watching what I have seen of you, I haven't seen you live yet, but watching what I've seen of you online and hearing your voice, I feel like you come across as very genuine and very authentic. Even the way that you deliver your songs on stage and the way you sing. How do you think that that's a really integral part of Tyler NEAL as a musician?
Definitely. I'm doing what I'm living my life the way I am because I want to. I'm doing what I want to do. And it comes from a deep place for me. I feel like I'm following a path that I'm supposed to be following, and there's a lot of things that have led up to that and tie into that, and being genuine and authentic about who I am and where I am and what I think is directly tied to the entire process. Right. So, you know, like I'm being human, like sometimes being authentic becomes complicated. Yes. You can't always be completely authentic all the time with everyone in every way, because even that's not really authentic. Like, you might just be having a bad day. Sometimes a fool will, a hypothetical fool, which is any and all of us at any time. Yeah. A fool will conflate their authenticity with their, let's say, with the lack of the fact that they just haven't thought through what they're feeling, or they haven't put thought to, they haven't thought something through. Right. It's like, it's easy to just say something stupid off the top of your head and be like, well, I'm authentic. Yeah. It's not, then it's hard to really think about an idea. Right. Really critically and see it from a lot of different angles. And then it's also hard to come out and say it boldly and be willing to be judged for it. Absolutely. And I think that is really the crux of what it is to be an artist, to be a creator, because you have to have the skin thick enough to know that, like, I know this is my authenticity. I know this is what I'm doing. And if somebody misconstrues that, I can't be or do anything else other than what I am being and creating, you know? And I think that's interesting because I've done a lot of like Enneagram study, like the different types of personalities. Those are fascinating. And how most
most creatives are type 4 personalities. And I think there's a lot that goes in with us having needing authenticity. Like authenticity is so integral to the type 4 personality, and that displays itself, you know. And I think it's really important that it does display itself, not only for an artist to feel authentic, but for them to be able to connect with their audience.
Yeah.
Whoever that is.
Yeah. Yeah, like some people say, your vibe attracts your tribe.
Yes! Come on, tribe. I love that.
But, you know, like if you're never really honest about how you feel about things, you build up a world around you that's inauthentic.
Right.
And you're like investing in relationships around you. If you're not being authentic with the people in the world around you, you're attracting an inauthentic life.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, like, you have to be able to, at some point, to say your ugly truth.
Right.
And if people around you can't vibe with it, then that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, they're going to move on.
Right.
But then, like, that's also
and they'll find their
simultaneously...
tribe too. Their tribe as well, yeah.
That's simultaneously going to attract the people that can deal with that.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
So with that being said, I really like that. With you saying, like, your vibe attracts your tribe, we were speaking a little bit before the interview about some of the people that you've played with.
Mm-hmm.
So I can only assume that they're also cool people, pretty chill, pretty down to earth. Tell me about some of the artists that you've worked with, because I think that's a really interesting part of most other artists' development, you know?
Mm-hmm. So, like we also did shortly discuss in our little pre-discussion, I did kind of get most of my musical impetus.
Yeah.
Is that the right word? I'm learning how to use that word still.
Cool.
With like church and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like rock and roll on the radio.
Yeah.
And, but then like the first mentors I had musically were, the first guy's name was Yamrico Scott.
Mm-hmm.
And he's from Detroit. And he's a drummer. He grew up in like a gospel family in like a big music scene in Detroit, Michigan in like the 60s. And he was like my first like real teacher and mentor.
Cool.
And that was when I first kind of like started spending time in Atlanta and learning about the Atlanta music scene and part of it. Sometimes people say the Atlanta music scene, but it's actually, we can only talk about parts of the Atlanta music scene, because I don't think anyone is actually plugged into the whole thing.
The entire,
because it's actually pretty broad. It's pretty broad. There's so many pockets that like,
literally, so that's what it is. There's like boroughs of different music around the city, and you can like, and it's cool because you can like travel between them. But anyway,
right?
Sorry, keep going.
But yeah, so when I met him, he started giving me music lessons and taking me around with him to his gigs, and I was like helping him set up his drums. And eventually, he introduced, a lot of stuff happened. I met a lot of people. I went to school for jazz drum set at Kennesaw State.
For jazz drumming?
Yeah, that's right. I'm a drummer.
That.
I basically started out as a drummer.
Right,
Yamrico Scott, he was a drummer.
Right.
He played with like Whitney Houston, Peebo Bryson.
Yeah.
The Derek Trucks band. A lot of people.
Some hard hitters.
Some heavy
Big
hitters.
Names, yeah.
And and then my other main mentor / musical upbringer was Colonel Bruce, who is he and Yamrico knew each other for decades, and they played together, and he was a big part of the whole impetus of the Southern jam band scene and beyond, some might even say. Like he had this band called the Hampton Grease Band in the 60s, and they played at like the Atlanta Pop Festival. And, you know, like during the whole Allman Brothers, Grateful Dead era, they were...
Great era, by the way.
They were there too. Yeah.
So you had this artist, Colonel Bruce, kind of like a mentor. Is it okay if we talk about this? Because I know it has a fairly
totally
sad ending.
What you got?
So tell me, like, you were working with him pretty much up until he passed in.
Yeah, so let me tell you a little bit about him though. He was like pretty much like a cosmic figure, like a guru of sorts, because like he had some like mystical things about him. Like he would meet someone for the first time and tell them their birthday.
Oh, interesting.
He could just like tell you your birthday, and like it would like really freak people out.
Yeah.
And like you know, like there's this certain like concept of like a guru and mentee relationship, where it's like, at least when I see it in like stories of more like Ayurvedic stories, where it's like there's the guru and they're always joking about things, and then the student gets really offended, but it's really the guru shedding layers of their ego.
Right. That's literally a lesson.
Yeah, it's literally a lesson, and like the student thinks that it's this humiliation or like that they're shaming them, but then like they come to find that it's really just a master teacher knows how to push just the right button,
right,
to get a reaction out of you, so that you can learn the lesson for yourself, right? And they don't have to actually teach you anything,
right?
That's the thing.
You have to work through the emotion, like
right.
Go and do your homework.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes that person goes away and they never come back.
Yeah,
but he impacted a lot of musicians, like throughout his whole life. He would say he was like a minor league baseball coach.
That's so cool.
And some people came along, and some people went on to the major leagues, and some people never made it. But that was sort of he like had his lane, and he's kind of stuck to it. And so he passed away at the Fox Theater in 2017 on stage at his birthday. And you know, there's also another thing with the whole like Eastern guru type thing, where like you can choose when to die and die on your birthday. Like it's like there's this thing where it's like if you die on your birthday, it's like you're like a bodhisattva.
I was thinking more of the lines of like that saying, you know, find what you love and let it kill you. I mean, I don't want music to kill me, but if ever,
heart disease and a terrible diet is what really killed him. But
I can imagine it wasn't the music. But hey, what a way to go on stage, belting it out.
You know, a lot of people a lot of people say, a lot of times when I talk about this with people, and this is nothing against you, but something you just said is something I like to talk about, just really to kind of like paint the whole picture. You know, a lot of people do say like, what a way to go. A lot of other, which is true, there's nothing wrong with that's kind of a neutral statement. A lot of people are like, man, that's probably what he wanted, or like they make it, it's like they say a lot of things like it's like a total positive thing, but it was like it's like people who are kind of looking from the outside are like, man, that was just amazing. Like, what a way to go. Like, that's what he would have wanted. But you know, I just like to challenge that sort of for the philosophical reasons of it, because it's like I don't think anyone really knows.
No, true. Yeah.
And I don't mean to do that like off of you.
No, I agree with you. No one does know.
I just like to say this to the world, to whoever's listening, is why I like to say it. Because too, like I like to say it was one of the best and one of the worst days of my life. Because in one sense where, you know, we all think about like we want to pass on doing what we love. In another sense, it was like, as someone who was, and maybe this kind of comes from my ego a little bit, but just as someone who was close to them, like it's a terrible way to lose someone you love.
Yes, absolutely,
and
absolutely.
There was a lot of people around him.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a lot of people around him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes when someone dies, or sometimes when someone dies, it's like they move on, and everyone around them takes the blow.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it was good for him, but it was really hard.
It was.
It was really hard too.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that.
The only I just kind of say that sometimes when it comes up, kind of for the people out there who might be listening. Just I don't know, just as maybe just like something to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
because it was beautiful, but it was tragic too.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like I like to talk about the tragedy.
Those two things can be very interlinked.
It's a thin line. It's like the thin line between love and hate.
Yeah.
Beauty and tragedy.
Absolutely.
Often you kind of can't have one without the other.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? And I think those, like, going off that, those of us who are creators, we tend to feel a lot more. And so with the depth of emotion that we need to, like, dig into to be able to produce the art that we produce, it means we also feel things that happen to us very deeply. And especially when you lose people who are like both well loved and really giants of their craft or their industry.
You know, one thing people don't think about is how hard it is for people to lose someone who's famous.
Yeah.
Like
everyone else thinks that they know them. It's like, but you don't.
Imagine like you lost your grandpa.
Yeah.
And then everyone in the whole town is talking about how do I say this? What they meant to him? No, like the thing is you see the ego come into play when someone famous dies.
Right. How close were we?
Exactly. Yeah. That's what they talk about. Now, like, usually if it's like just a beloved member of the community, people will say things that are like what they meant to him and what a great person they were.
Right.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
But what hurts is when like you're close to someone who has a certain level of fame, and then like the person who, it's kind of like the person who maybe stabbed their back is now going public talking about how close they were.
Right.
It's like, whoa, this is weird.
Yeah.
And like everyone's rushing to their comfort.
Yeah.
Like, that's really strange. Like
that is a weird thing. And it happens more.
It's fame by proxy.
Yeah.
What is it called? Clout chasers.
Clout chasing. Yeah.
Clout chasing through the dead.
Yeah.
That's dark.
That is dark. So
it's a thing.
Would you say with that whole experience, would you say that you got any I want to say got music out of it, but was that some sort of inspiration for new music? Yes, in the
way that it changed my life.
Yeah.
Like everything goes into all my experiences go into what I do musically, because it's all kind of, I don't really have like a thing that I do here and then I go do a music thing. It's kind of all the same thing. Right. It's like there's not a separation between my art life and then like my job. It's like, well, in that sense, I don't like clock into this. This is kind of just like, I'm always on the clock.
Exactly. When you choose to be a full-time musician, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it is our job.
Not even full-time though. I would say the full-time word kind of it sort of implies the whole, and I'm actually not like I'm not a harsh postmodern critic of capitalism, but it is it's kind of a capitalistic paradigm.
Yeah.
But capitalism is fine. We wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for capitalism.
Right, absolutely.
Like Apple,
this isn't my laptop.
You know where they get the batteries? You know where they get the batteries for cell phones and computers? Slave labor.
I was going to say deep in the mines of like somewhere.
It's basically slave labor in Africa.
Yeah, okay.
But people don't talk about that.
No. I will say though, I'm just for the record, I don't have an app. This isn't my computer and I don't have an Apple phone.
It's okay.
I don't know if that makes it any difference, but I'm not an Apple person. You're not going to get canceled.
And if you were, it would be via an iPhone. Isn't that ironic?
Isn't that ironic?
I just want to point out the ironies of our world.
Yeah, true.
I'm not taking any side.
Right. It just so everyone's aware of all of this. No, I like that. Big picture. It's important.
I don't know.
So I wanted
We're
to
diving
ask. Deep. We are. I wanted to ask, speaking of diving deep, about your recent single release,
Yeah.
Spirit Takes
Let
Over.
the spirit take over.
Yeah? So tell me about
Oh,
that.
I would love to tell you about that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's a song that is part of my philosophy.
Okay.
In a lot of ways. A lot of the songs I write are kind of like I like to write stuff about like my philosophy. Like it's like about my life. Mm-hmm. And like things that come up in my life that are kind of like philosophies that I go by. And like, like you're saying how, like we were talking about how being genuine and authentic is kind of like at the core of what I do. Because for me, it's like the spirit of what I'm doing, whether I'm like making a sandwich or walking down the street or reading a book or on stage, I'm trying to let the spirit take over. And what I mean by that can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, which good. But to me, what that means is finding that authenticity.
Yes.
And connecting with the beyond.
Yeah.
And like knowing your purpose.
Yes.
And like, why are you doing what you're doing? Are you doing it to be a clout chaser?
Right.
No, just kidding.
There's that word again.
Maybe I'm just kidding. That sort of comes across as critical. I don't mean to be critical. But,
no, but I get what you mean.
But like, let the spirit take over. Like,
don't push it.
Reach for the highest possible good.
Right.
That you can conceive of.
Right.
And like when we get on stage, sometimes like with my band, that phrase comes up, and we all kind of have a laugh.
Yeah.
Like we're like talking about what we're gonna do, and then one person be like, "So what you're trying to say is just let the spirit take over?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, exactly."
And you get to the end of the song, and we're gonna play it out. So let the spirit take over. Yeah, come on, take me to church.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, but like,
I also love that you say that too, because it can feel like I know for probably all the other musicians on the planet, there are sometimes when you're playing with what I like to call your soul musicians, like we all have people that we just musically get, musically get us. Sometimes it really feels like that's what's happening. There'll be a moment on stage and the whole audience could be either silent, like quiet as, or they could be all partying, but you look around at the people and you're like, man, the spirit just took over. Like that was
like
a
things
moment.
happen. It's like a true human experience.
Yeah.
It's a victorious moment for humanity.
Yeah. Yes.
No matter how small.
Yeah.
But it's a microcosm of how great it can be.
Right.
I think that's why people love music.
Absolutely.
And especially music when it's live.
Yeah.
It's because it's like a microcosm of heroism.
Yeah. And communion almost, like everyone
like
is
tragedy
involved.
And what was the other one?
Tragedy and beauty.
Yeah.
It's
Tension
all of the
and release.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dichotomy.
That's a good word.
I also really love that
We
word.
have vocabulary words today.
Yes, and all these long words. I'm throwing out the big ones.
No, but so let the spirit take over. It actually started, I started writing it with Rico Scott, my mentor.
Yeah.
Both of my mentors have passed away. Rico passed away in 2019. We were writing. He had heart disease too. I was working with him on what was going to be his next record, and I wrote that song like to him, kind of from his perspective, with everything I learned from him in mind. And but when he passed away, I was like, well, I guess I wrote the song, so I'm going to put it out for me. Yeah. I was going to give it to him for his record. And yeah.
That's really beautiful. No, I love that it still saw the light of day, and it becomes like an homage.
Exactly.
It is, and it
is.
It's still a gift. It's still a gift.
I like it though because I think it's fully an homage, but it's also fully not. It's also its own thing, which I like. Like because sometimes I think like tributes get a little. It's like they work one time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like this was a tribute. And here it is. We did it. It's over. On to
the next
on to
one.
life.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
But it's like an homage without being one. But it's not one and it is one.
Right. It's an homage without like name dropping or having to be like overtly.
Yeah.
Homage. Yeah.
Right. Homage.
Homage.
Omelette du fromage.
I love cheese, but also homage. That sounds like some Maybe just call it something like Hermes. Omaji. It sounds like a brand.
Do they have Dexter's Laboratory in Australia?
That the cartoon, right?
Cartoon Network?
Big, like the goggles. And yeah, I've seen that.
That's what I learned that phrase from.
Omaji?
Omelette du fromage.
I'm like...
You know what that is?
Is it? Do you like cheese?
No, it's cheese omelet in French.
Cheese omelet.
There's this one episode.
Amazing.
If you're a '90s baby from the U.S., then you know what I'm talking about.
Omelette du fromage.
Omelette du fromage.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I was more of a of that like era of cartoons. I watched a lot of like Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah.
Sugar Spice and everything nice.
Yeah, yeah. I always thought it would be really cool to be, I forget the name of the one in green, the one with the like kind of stanky attitude.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she was a boss.
Yeah, I don't know how we
I
got
don't remember any of their names.
Yeah.
But anyway, let the spirit take over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so
it's a banger of a tune, by the way.
Thank you very
much. It really is
much.
cool, and I've seen that it's like you've got a couple of clips of you doing it in different places with different lineups and groups.
Yeah,
and
it's better live.
It is great live with those backing vocals.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, with the backing vocals, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
We get into it. We really get into it.
And the spirit does take over.
Yeah. You know, sometimes it does.
That's
you kind of just have to, it's, we've all heard of the muse.
Mm-hmm.
I have some theories about the muse, and maybe artistic philosophy. Sometimes we sit around and we're like, I'm waiting to be inspired.
Right, waiting for inspiration.
Like, where's the muse?
Yeah.
Like, I need the muse. I like to think of it as don't wait to get to work.
Right.
When the muse arrives.
Right. Start working.
Let the muse catch you working.
Yeah. I like that. Let the muse catch you working.
Yeah.
I like that.
Because the muse likes that too.
Yeah,
The muse likes to
absolutely.
catch you working.
Yeah.
Because sometimes
it's a muscle.
Yeah, it is.
Creativity, you have to practice. You have to use it.
Yeah, you do. Absolutely. And so that's kind of the approach I take playing live too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, look, we showing up. That's one thing Bruce would say a lot. Showing up, it's 80%.
Yeah.
Obviously, he didn't coin that term.
Right.
That phrase. It's a popular phrase.
Yeah.
But you show up and
You do the thing.
and you get to work. And sometimes the spirit shows up.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
That's okay. But that's not
You're
why.
still 80% of the way there.
Yeah.
You know?
That's not why we do what we do.
Right.
It's not going to happen every time.
Right. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
part of the work.
right. That is the artistry, you know, and that's also part of the authenticity and being professional. You know, if the spirit doesn't show up, professionals just still do the thing. That doesn't mean you don't have a good time. It might not be like, oh, but you do the thing, and you know, for like 100% of the time, the audience won't notice.
Yeah.
You know, if you show up and you
Usually they don't.
Yeah.
Usually they don't, but when it does, they're definitely not going to not notice.
Right. Yeah, that is exactly
Which
it.
is gracious
Yes.
of God in the universe to bestow that onto us. That even if the spirit doesn't show up, they might not notice.
Right.
But if it does, they're not going to not notice.
I love that.
It's like you kind of win.
Yeah.
You can win every day.
Yeah. I love that. I'm going to clip that up for a little soundbite.
Go ahead.
I really like that. So I want to know, what have you got coming up for the rest of 2023? I know you've got a couple of big shows happening around this interview.
Yeah.
But
Well,
the rest of the year looking
I don't
at?
have the whole rest of the year really like planned out with like dates and stuff. But what is going on is I'm releasing singles.
Okay.
And so Let the Spirit Take Over was my first one. I'm not on like a regimented schedule for it.
Good.
But that's one thing with my team. We were about to put out a whole album, but we were just like, with today's world and how everything's so fast paced, and we're fighting for everyone's attention, and there's so many artists out there these days. It's kind of like I'm kind of taking this year to put each single out and let it be a moment to let the world know who I am.
Awesome.
Through each song.
Awesome. Yeah.
And the albums will come.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
this year is kind of like putting out singles and letting the world know what I do, because I do a lot of different things.
Right.
I don't really have like one genre. Like, so my songs are gonna say and feel different ways, and
Right.
do different things
Depending on where you're at and what you're doing.
yeah.
Absolutely,
So I've got like, so there's that, and then like as far as live goes, I've been I've sort of embarked on a nice little relationship with The Bitter End, which is like this legendary club out of New York City, where like
Right.
Bob Dylan played there,
Yeah.
Donny Hathaway played there,
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder played there, Lady Gaga played there.
Yeah.
All these awesome artists
I've seen some of the videos from there.
have yeah. So I'm like really stoked about that.
Cool.
I've got some
Congratulations.
more. Thank
That's
you.
really cool.
I've got some more dates coming up with that. I'm doing some stuff with So Far Sounds. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
So Far Sounds, email me back. I emailed you guys.
yeah, they do like these really cool intimate concerts where they'll have like 30 people and they set up this real moody vibe, and
Yeah.
it's like a 20-minute show or 30 minutes. I'm doing some of those and some opening stuff in Nashville.
Nice.
And,
Nice.
Yeah, so it's like kind of just
Doing the thing.
stuff like that.
Yeah. I love that. I love that for you. It's great that you've got both the live stuff, because, I mean, I don't know about you as a performer. Nothing gives me greater joy on the planet than being on stage with a microphone in my hand, making people happy. Like, I just love that. But it's awesome to hear you've got your studio stuff. You're working on that with your singles and everything.
Yeah.
I love that. I have one quick question before I take us into the speed round of questions that I like to do at the end of each episode. I've noticed that you wear the necklace that you're wearing. It's in most of your photos and videos on your Instagram. Not that I'm a stalker. I like to research my artists.
You've done your homework.
Yeah. Where's it from?
I actually got this. This is actually a new one. Maybe I've been posting it. Maybe I've just been wearing it a lot lately.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you. I got it off the street in New York City from a street vendor.
Awesome.
When I was up there at the Bitter End.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're glass beads, right?
I think so.
Are they cold? Pretty cold?
They're not freezing.
Okay. Yeah. No, they're beautiful. I was just like, wow, that's such a nice necklace.
They might be like rocks.
Okay. Perhaps clay. But yeah, no, it's beautiful.
I think they're painted rocks or clay.
I love that.
Some sort of hard.
Yeah. No, it's cool. Do ASMR with it.
Yeah, I like colors and designs and patterns.
Me too.
And so I saw it and it just jumped out at me. I had to get it.
Nice. I love that. Cool. So we're going to go into the speed round quickly. I'm going to ask you a few different questions.
Okay.
And just whatever comes to the top of your head. What is your favorite sound in the entire world?
Water.
Water running?
Yeah, water is, yeah.
Okay, cool. That's a good
That's
one.
not an honest answer, but it's the first thing that came to my mind.
That's perfect.
Cool.
What is the one song on the planet that you didn't write that you just really wish that you did? And I'm not saying that you want to be the other artist, but what is that one song that every time you hear it, man, like this speaks to my soul, like I feel like I could have
Yeah. Oh gosh.
done this?
I think that changes. Of course, I've felt that about a lot of songs. Oh gosh. That's a hard one. You know, there's this song. What's it called? No one makes me feel the way you first began by PJ Morton.
Okay.
That was one of the best songs ever written.
All right, a PJ Morton tune.
Yeah, I wish I would've
like
wrote
that.
that.
Yeah.
That's a good song.
That's okay. I really like that answer. That's a great one.
That's a really good song.
That makes me re-question. I always answer the same one because it's the same one that I've always. But now I'm like, man.
What was yours?
My one is "I Can't Make You Love Me" by Bonnie Raitt. I think that's just one of the most lyrically, iconic, beautiful. But now I'm thinking, man, what about a Yebba song? All right, that's something to think about. If aliens came to Earth today and they walked up to you and you could clearly tell they were aliens and they said, "Human."
Is this safe? Is this a safe situation?
Yeah.
I would be terrified.
Right. It would be, "Hi there, human. We would like to know what album best sums up the human experience, or what
Songs in the Key of Life
by
Stevie Wonder.
Okay. All right. Cool. Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder. I think they'd be really happy with that. There is a definitive answer there. I like that. All right. who is one artist that you would love to collaborate with, dead or alive?
Stevie Wonder.
Okay, cool, amazing. And I feel like this next question, there's already a definite answer to one. You've been booked to play a afternoon festival. There are 4 acts.
Mm-hmm.
You're one of the acts, but you can choose the other 4. Who are the other 4 artists, dead or alive?
Oh gosh, the Allman Brothers Band, Ray Charles, and Stevie Wonder.
No, you get one more because you're
I
the
get
5th
one more.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a great festival.
James
so far.
Brown.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Is Stevie Wonder also a Georgia boy?
No. Detroit.
Okay, but the Allman Brothers and
they're like
James Brown are all from here.
James
correct?
Brown's like Georgia, South Carolina area,
Right.
Augusta, Georgia.
Okay. That's cool.
And then a lot of the Allman Brothers guys are from like the Florida, Georgia area. Mm-hmm. Ray Charles is the Florida, Georgia area.
Well, I guess we'd have to have the festival here in Georgia.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I love that. Down by the Florida, Georgia area.
That's right.
Awesome. I think that's all. Am I missing any questions that I usually ask? I don't think so. So before I'm like, can I make any more up? Before we wrap up, can you tell the audience all of where to find you on social media?
Okay.
Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, all of the things. Where to find Tyler Neal and Tyler Neal's music.
Okay. I think if you can go to my Instagram, which is at TNEAL4Real.
I love that.
TNEALFORREAL.
TNEAL for real.
TNEAL4Real. And I have links to all my music on there. Mm-hmm. That's probably the best place in today's age. Yeah. But then also, like, once you can probably just Google it. I mean, that's the
true.
world we're in now,
yeah.
You can Google it. It's on Spotify. I'm on all the streaming platforms.
Cool.
You can get links for that through my Instagram too, though.
Your link tree.
Yep, that's right. I'm on Facebook. I think it's Tyler Neal Band, which I dropped the band recently.
All right. You're the Tyler Neal
just because
project,
the band changes.
Yes.
So it's not like, like Kiss.
Right. It's
It's
Tyler
a
Neal and the
band.
crew, but the crew changes
sometimes.
Yeah. The Tyler Neal project, the Tyler Neal collective.
It's just Tyler Neal.
Tyler Neal. Cool. Perfect.
But Facebook.com/Tyler Neal Band right now at this point.
Awesome.
And I have a website, TylerNealBand.com. Really though, like, go to the Instagram.
Yeah. Find all the links there.
It's 2023, y'all.
Yeah.
Get an Instagram account.
I love how big Instagram is in America. It wasn't big where I was living before. I'm like, oh my gosh, now I've got 1,000 followers. Wow, so cool. Thank you. I want to say thank you so much for coming in and doing this. Thank you. It has been such an honor and a privilege to chat with you.
Likewise.
Hear some of your stories. And I'm really looking forward to hearing the new singles that'll be coming out this year. And
We've got another one coming out in like a month.
Oh, okay. So
we haven't talked about it yet, though.
Okay, cool.
You're hearing it here first.
Hearing it. Oh, we're getting a wild exclusive. Oh, I love. Okay, come on.
Okay.
Hosting a little exclusive. Okay, I love that. Cool. So a new single in about a month. You'll be dropping that on all the platforms, YouTube. All right.
All of them.
So we can go and find that on your music.
YouTube me too.
Cool. Perfect. Love that. Love a good YouTube video. Awesome. Well, that is exciting. Make sure that you are watching Tyler Neal, watching all of his socials, because there's going to be a new track dropping in about a month or so. You heard it here first. But thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Elbeth.
And I'm looking forward to catching one of your shows in real life very, very, very soon. And if you're an artist from Atlanta or Georgia, or you're passing through and you're watching this and you're thinking, I could do that, please email us at vision1mediaatl on Instagram. You can email us at vision1social@gmail. You can also hit up me on Instagram. You can go like me. I have more than 1,000 followers. I'm ella.bethmusic. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook. So if you want to come along and be a guest on this show, please reach out to us. We are always looking for new faces and new artists and new acts who we can both feature and work with and collaborate with. And yeah, we hope you all have a great week. Stay safe. We'll see you all in the next episode. Peace.
Peace.